Hey everyone, welcome to Aerobic AF. I'm Ken and this is Quinlan.
We're pumped you're here. This is your home for a casual, unfiltered look at the world of running and all things hybrid training.
If you're trying to level up, stay consistent, and still be a normal human being, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it.
Is it recording? We're
live. Live on the air.
I get so nervous sometimes when I'm starting these soliloquies to begin the episode that something's going to be wrong and it's not going to be recording for some reason.
Put your fears to rest.
Put your fears to rest.
I can see it.
Q has it dialed in
Yep.
on her side. This is the aspect of production that she's most in charge of and probably the most important part, making sure that
all the
button is good to go.
Making sure the mic is on.
Yeah, exactly.
That little red light.
This is a high pressure situation. Big job, big job. Today we're talking about how you can do everything right in a training block, and despite our best efforts, sometimes that block gets derailed. I think that both of us were feeling this for different reasons at the beginning of this year, through January and February, that it's been a tough training block for both of us.
Yeah, and for me, this is a bit of a new experience because normally my training gets derailed by one thing and one thing only.
What's that?
Injury. And
oh, God.
I think for both of us, we've had other things kind of get in the way or maybe force us to take a few steps back. So it's just the reality of life, and some things you can control and some things you can't control. So obviously for you, you're now like a month and a half out from your surgery back in January.
Yeah, I think the surgery was like second week of January, basically. So we're about coming up on 2 months now.
Yeah.
Since I got my septoplasty surgery done.
And I feel like I've noticed in your training that it's really starting to click recently, so that must feel also nice for you. I know it wasn't an easy road to get there because your, runs are not looking as they did at first, but it's crazy. It's been 2 months. Like 2 months is a long time to feel like you could kind of got back to where you were.
It's felt like it's taken quite a long time. We did episodes previously to this talking about how quickly fitness recovers. I think part of what happened was I was also coming out of a lower volume training block kind of at the end of December. We went to the High Rocks Vancouver and then had a pretty intentional taper through the holidays where we were just training a little bit less. Also at the beginning of January. So it was kind of a pretty big reset after the septoplasty, and that was a full 2 weeks off after that.
Yeah, I think it's extra hard when you don't have that really strong foundation. So when you're, I'm going to say, kind of forced to take a step back after already being a little bit more restful.
Laissez-faire, we'll say.
It's kind of like, oh God, this is now actually going on for way too long. So I think it's just a reminder, like for anyone, if you know you have either a holiday coming up, a minor procedure, or something that's going to quote unquote derail your training, you strategically plan around this. And this is actually something I used to do when I was marathon training. It's really good practice to take like a down week or a recovery week every 3 to 4 weeks during training.
Deload week.
Yeah, and I would plan it specifically around if I was traveling or if I was going somewhere, so that it took the pressure off from maintaining this crazy volume while I was away. And I mean, maybe I thought I was a little crazy, or people thought I was crazy at that point, like friends and stuff, but I was very intentional about it. And it made a difference. It helped.
Let me be clear. People still think that you're crazy looking at your training regimen.
I know. It's true.
But I think it does make sense, though, if you're going to, for example, we'll just throw a random place out there, Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Oh, so random.
If for some reason you're heading to Wisconsin on a business trip, for whatever reason, it would make sense to schedule a deload week for that week.
It's funny you say that because for unplanned, but a few of the times that I've had to go there has been the week after a race weekend.
Perfect.
Which has been perfect. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I'll get a couple of easy runs in, but nothing crazy. And that was pure coincidence. So you can't always plan it perfectly. And for anyone who travels regularly for work, obviously that's not as realistic, and probably need to find a local gym that you can go to where you are traveling to. That's another
hotel gym.
Yeah, sometimes
but don't
they're not
trust
bad.
the treadmills. Don't trust the treadmills in
Yeah.
the hotel gym. You don't know when those things have been tuned. This is a pretty good segue, just naturally, so I guess we'll start here. This past weekend was a race for us. It was the Chile Half Marathon, which is a pretty big one on the schedule in the GTA. It's basically
local half marathon.
Yeah, local half marathon. It's the first kind of big race in the GTA of the season. There's about 4,000 participants that go out to Burlington.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a decent sized event, I'd say. This is one that both of us had on our calendar as the first kind of rust buster, we'll call it, of the season. Go for it, I guess. I was able to participate. Unfortunately, you had to.
I was unable
drop
to
out of this
participate.
one. Yeah.
So, yeah, I love the Chile Half. I've spectated it for a couple of years. I also ran it last year. It's ironic, called the Chile Half Marathon. It's happening every the first weekend of March, and it often is quite chilly. So
minus 17.
Yeah,
it felt like,
which was
for
the
this weekend.
same conditions last year too. Very cold. So we've talked about this before, but I'm always hesitant to make a race like this my A goal of a season. The conditions are pretty variable. I think it's a really great opportunity to showcase whatever fitness you've kind of built up until that point, and is a great building block into a spring marathon. So I don't know if we've talked about this before, but it is helpful to have other races on the calendar leading up to an A goal as kind of checkpoints, but not every race needs to be the A goal. There's a lot of benefit from just getting a really solid workout in, taking advantage of the race environment, getting used to the race day nerves, fueling, all that jazz. So that's what I was going to use. Yeah, I was going to use this race as an opportunity to dial into probably what my goal High Rocks pace was, just to really feel that for 21K, just a 350, 355. So that would have been awesome to have gotten that in, but I didn't really set myself up for success to execute on that.
Why is that?
Well, as the good human that I am, I decided to give blood recently, actually on February 17th. I remember because it was the first day of, or it was the Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Year of the Horse, which was also pure coincidence, by the way. I was planning to give blood that day because I was just going to be in the area of Young and Bloor. But
did you know that I was also born in the year of the horse?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
This is just a miscellaneous side note, but yeah it was, I think, the metal horse.
Oh, yeah, so this is the wood horse.
Fire horse.
Fire horse, sorry. Wood was the last one. I was pig. I don't know what type of pig, but
goodness.
You're the pig.
Please continue.
we can leave that one. But yeah, I don't know. I have felt like I was really called to give blood. I'm a universal donor, which is O negative, and I think honestly, the world is a really kind of sad, scary place right now. At least, we won't get into all the things happening across the world, but it is just heavy.
Be overwhelming.
It's really heavy. It's overwhelming. It's very sad. I feel like I've been getting a lot more riled up about what's going on, and knowing that I could do this good deed and save a life or a few lives felt like something in my control that I could do freely. So I just, kind of within a few days was I'm going to go give blood. I didn't look into it at all. I just knew that I was going to give blood. I didn't know how much they took. I didn't know the recovery process, nothing. But I've learned a lot about it since.
as it turns out, and this is probably not surprising to a lot of the listeners, but something that we've obviously become much more well versed in, this has definitely dealt you a dent into the fitness that you'd accumulated early in the year.
Yes.
Ultimately, it ended up leading into, whether it's associated or not, again, similar to the Lindsey Vonn ACL conversation we had, I think that it's hard not to associate the two. But you also got very, very ill about 10 days after you gave blood, presumably because your immune system's a little bit weaker, and also because you were still training quite hard and the strain on your body was that much higher because of the lack thereof.
I think, yeah, my immune system was a bit compromised for sure. I haven't been sick in like years, so getting a head cold was not on my 2026 bingo card at all.
People say that men become completely debilitated by the head cold, but this one
it really took me out.
Yeah,
for
you were in
sure.
rough shape.
And I do not want this to deter people from giving blood, especially athletes. I think it's absolutely something we should be doing. You just need to be strategic, about when you give blood.
Off season only.
Yeah, do not do it in the middle of a block. Also for females, something to be aware of is that if your iron is low, they actually won't let you donate blood if your hemoglobin is below a certain level. Mine was honestly on the low end, and I mean, I still did it. I do have low-ish iron, so I'm, trying to build that back up as well and be a lot more smart about my diet. So it's definitely something that you can do. Just fair warning, don't do it in the middle of a training block. I can give just a couple of data points as to why. So your platelets actually restore within 3 days, and the plasma and fluids restore within 1 day. So if you are drinking fluid a lot before and after giving blood, that all comes back within a few days. So definitely the first few days were the hardest. I felt very weak, and I was definitely pulling back in my intensity, but I don't think that mattered. I had nothing really in me to give. You also should, be mindful of planning workouts around giving blood, because doing a threshold workout 2 days later was not a good idea. But the big one is your red blood cells. So that actually takes 4 to 6 weeks for all your red blood cells to fully replenish, which makes sense that your body can't just make up for 500 milliliters of lost blood.
Basically 10%, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. And so we've also talked about this before, that VO2 max is how efficient your body is at like pumping oxygen through your blood to your muscles. Obviously, when you don't have as much blood and red blood cells, that goes down too. So it's around 10% lower, your VO2 max.
About the same amount of blood that you're giving. So that
Yes,
that
it
percentage
all
makes
makes
sense.
All makes sense. So it's also much harder for me to tell myself that 1 week and 2 weeks out of giving blood, being like, why do I feel so unfit? I'm like, I was having such a good training block, and it definitely feel like it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. And I know that it will replenish and I'm going to feel even stronger. There's also a lot of benefits for your own self by giving blood. It triggers, I think, something like your stem cells and your bones are forced to make new blood. And so it stimulates that, which is great, kind of out with the old, in with the new. So it's definitely something I'm going to do again in the future. Just, not in the middle of a training block. Just be more intentional with the
timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all this is to say is you were not able to participate in this race because
I was really
the fitness
sick.
losses,
Yeah.
and also the sickness that kind of came up just after it, which is also, we're recording this on the Tuesday. We would normally do it on the weekend. But
I was too sick.
Yeah, the sickness was even like disruptive for that. Like that's kind of the level that you were at in this weekend.
Yeah, and when you are congested or even nauseous, like any ailment, it's really difficult to picture yourself ever being healthy again.
I know that feeling.
It was awful. And so I couldn't breathe. I felt so bad. And I had a lot of FOMO. It sucks missing out on, these races and events. Kind of brought me back to my like ACL recovery days when I
PTSD.
wasn't participating. And yeah, it's not a place where I like to be. I definitely feel a new kind of gratitude though for getting to move my body this week, which in hindsight I actually think is very good because this winter has been brutal. Like we've talked about this too. It's just been really hard to keep getting out there, hammering away. It's so cold. It's just not ideal at all. And I do think that was wearing on me. Like I have not been looking forward to runs or even making my way down to the gym. Like I've really just wanted to hibernate and like cozy up. So, I mean, I got basically 3 straight days of sitting on my couch, binge watching TV, and now I'm ready to get back out there.
Yeah. 3 days is a lot.
It was a long time.
You were even trying to grind out some shorter runs while you were ill.
And that was just
it was just hard.
It was terrible.
I'm with you. I also really struggled coming back after the surgery, like to my nose. Mm-hmm. It was a really hard couple of weeks there where I was just feeling like the energy wasn't there, the pacing wasn't there. It felt like my aerobic fitness took a pretty big hit. I probably came back a little too hard the first week, which I think is like a natural thing that happens sometimes. But even like now, it's like I still can feel that the aerobic fitness is not quite where it was.
I think in general, exactly to your point, it's so hard to go from being really fit and on your way to like peak fitness and race fitness to then kind of go back a few points and start again. Because if you think about a typical year, obviously you're not going to be in peak fitness all year round, but the feeling of being in peak fitness is so amazing that it can be challenging to feel any other type of way. So, I mean, I think it comes with doing it for a couple of years and realizing like, oh, there's other ways I can enjoy the less fit times too and look forward to building it back. But it is hard. You want to feel like you're invincible.
I think that I think we've had this conversation, it was probably around the same time, but we were feeling that we were probably at our peak beginning of September of last year.
Yeah.
Maybe it tapers off a little bit later than that, but coming out of, a big block for June, July, August, at the beginning of September, I think we were feeling so fit. The running volume was high. We were getting tons of good hard threshold sessions in, tons of quality sessions in at the track and where we run our intervals out on like the Spit in the East End. It was just a really, really high volume summer.
Yeah.
And coming into September, we were feeling insanely fit. So I think it's kind of been a little bit of a steady decline since then. The weather changing obviously is a factor. I think the holidays are a factor. We were kind of fighting to maintain fitness up to the Vancouver race. For me, that's when my work schedule was ramping up quite a bit. So I was finding that the volume was suffering a little bit there. And it really is feeling now that it is probably the first point for me where I've experienced very tangible, significant fitness losses from where I was at.
I think that means
rebuild.
You're doing it right.
Yeah.
You should feel that loss. I think if you're not, then you're not training properly. It's not sustainable, but I know it feels bad when your, interval paces are different, but they should be different. It's just smart training. You want to time your fitness to peak when your big goal race is. Mm-hmm. So if you're just powering through, I think I saw an interesting thread on this on Instagram actually, that a lot of the time we train really hard because it feels good to get those big sessions in. I think we were doing that a lot this summer, obviously. Lots of hard workouts, lots of long runs. But it's really the other stuff, the boring stuff that doesn't give you that same dopamine hit that is gonna propel you forward. So I think that it takes a lot of patience to actually build a strong aerobic base and then continue building into your race like fitness. You have to be patient with yourself, because if you try to rush that process, you're just going to burn out.
I think one thing that was difficult for me to quantify as well is, even though I was breathing much better, and that continues to be the case, by the way, like this surgery, life changing. It's like I'm sleeping better, like I can breathe clearly for the first time in my life, basically, or it feels like that. I'm like, is this what everybody's just been doing the whole time? Just breathing through their nose? And
That's the right way to breathe.
It's so crazy to me that this is my experience now. I think a part of what was difficult about this recovery was also the fact that now I'm having all this new ability to be able to breathe.
Yeah.
But obviously my body is still recovering from like a pretty serious procedure. Like the anesthetic's really hard on your body. And you're still healing for 6 to 8 weeks. Like, I still think there's probably still healing going on there. It's mostly finished, but it's obviously taking energy as well for your body to be dealing with that. It's not something that you're maybe thinking about all the time. And with the breathing, I'm like, wow, this is great. I should be able to be hammering right now. And my body was just not ready to do that right away.
Yeah. And I think for you too, this is like one of the first times you've had this type of, I'll call it like cycle, where you are training really hard, you peak, and then you kind of taper off, recover, and start over. So what's that been like? Like, do you think mentally there's been an adjustment there?
I think initially it was a little bit difficult. Like right after the surgery, I think was the hardest. Now I've kind of settled in a little bit more into the routine. I will say at this race, this past weekend, which I did participate in, we made the choice. Well, you were actually going to end up...
I was going to pace our friend,
You were going to pace a friend
Eddie.
of ours, Eddie. When you dropped out, I decided that I would slot in and pace for him. And that actually ended up, I think, being a really good decision. There wasn't really an intentional taper for me coming into this race. I think that there was still some hard efforts throughout the week, not including but not limited to our Thursday, where we basically did a double threshold workout. Threshold in the morning, and then we did another more specific thing later.
That's another thing too. Like, when you are racing or want to race so much, it is smart to decide if you are going to taper for the race or not. Because if you're tapering for every race and you have one like every other weekend, there's no time to actually build fitness. So it is smart.
Fitness, yeah.
It's smart to actually go into some of these like building block races, not tapered at all, and just see what you can do on tired legs.
This is interesting, an interesting point. It's like an A race versus a B or a C race, which you're just looking at as basically a training race. So that's kind of how it ended up working out for me. I was like, I'll go out, I'll run this pace. He was looking to run around a 130, 132, something in that range. 132 on the fast end if we were feeling really good. And I think he wanted to kind of go sub 135 for sure. So we went out, we're feeling pretty good through the whole thing. Obviously the conditions were very tough. Minus 17, we were on the way out.
Classic road racing.
Exactly.
It's never going to be a perfect day.
On the way out, I think there was about a 20 kilometer headwind that we were dealing with. Or it was like headwind-ish. It was coming, like we were running east along the lake. The wind was coming like southwest, or northwest rather. So it was kind of coming into us on the way out. On the way back, that also meant we had a tailwind, which is always preferred if you're going to choose which direction you're going to hit the wind. So
last year it was the opposite. Yeah. It was straight into the headwind for the last 10K.
Feels bad.
Which was brutal. But I think it's smart to make a decision of how you're going to race and what your goals are for that race, rather than just try to go pedal to the metal every time.
I'm really glad that we came to this conclusion.
Recovery is important. Like, you want to be able, like for you specifically, your goals are to come into this week relatively fresh and ready to like hammer again, because we are now in a period where our goal races are mid-May. So we're coming up on like kind of the 8 to 10 weeks before that, which is when we want to be ramping things up and actually, thinking about when we're going to have our peak periods, which probably is going to be closer to April. And this is an important part of the block for us. So if you don't want to enter that fully depleted.
Yeah. Well, there's only a couple times that you can really tap into that and exhaust those energy stores and not have it affect your training. So I was actually quite happy at the managed heart rate, at least. Like, I kind of kept it in zone 3 at the 132 zone for that half. It was interesting that like the legs actually, for the first time or in a long time, felt like the limiting factor. Like, my legs were actually like pretty tired by the time I hit kilometer 8 or something, and I was like, oh.
I feel like normally for us as like hybrid athletes, it's our legs are great. They feel really good, actually.
I kind of saw the tea leaves on this one, though, because I had a run workout on the Friday before. Man, was I struggling. Like, and it was just a normal, like, it wasn't anything hard. I was just trying to do 10K easy at around 5:10. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, my legs were just not turning over. It's like I felt like my RPE was so high. It was like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 at that pace. I was like having to pull over and take breaks. It just was not feeling good for me.
Yeah, some days are hard. I think it's just something to remember when you are, we're training all year round. Like, we are running, working out literally all year round. And it's really normal to have off days or days where you don't feel good, but it doesn't mean that the fitness is not there. It's just life. Like, sometimes you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you just have to muscle through, and other days you wake up and feel like you could float and run forever. I love those days. I used to plan my workouts based on how I felt. So I talked about this, I think like episode 1 or 2. I would literally decide on the day if I was going to do a workout, and it was kind of tricky mentally because I wouldn't know what I was going to do until I figured out how my legs felt.
You didn't even know if you were going to do anything.
Yeah, but I think a friend of mine, Laurel, I'm going to shout out Laurel, I saw that she did a pretty big workout, I think it was last week, and her caption was something along the lines of like, I guess she tried to do it the day before, but just was not feeling it, and then went and executed the next day and ran like amazing. I think she did like 16 kilometers at marathon pace or faster than marathon pace, and it looked like she absolutely crushed it. And so I think when you do have a really big critical and key session building up into your A goal, because there's not many of them, like you don't have that many big workouts, you do want it as a confidence booster. I think it is absolutely more than okay and really smart to make that call and be like, you know what, if I try to do this right now, I am going to feel really bad. I'm probably not going to finish the workout, and that's going to hurt you mentally and physically. So if you can make that adjustment and do it on a different day, I say absolutely go for it. So it's a good reminder that you do have that autonomy to make that switch.
It's a good reminder too of the difference between cold weather and warm weather racing. And I know that we've talked about this a lot, but I also found in this particular day, and granted, I didn't do the longest warm up in the world because it was so cold out there, but I think that definitely also was a big factor, was that the muscles were feeling like quite a bit tighter. I know my friend Eddie, or our friend Eddie, who I was pacing, actually did a pretty long warm up for this one. Like his coach said he should do 4K, which is a pretty long warm up before the half distance. But
well, it's good because this is a building race into the marathon, right? Like it's supposed to be your long run day when you do a half marathon kind of leading up. So I think it's normal to have like 20 to 25 minutes. I used to do like 5K warm-ups before 10K races. And then I would do like a 5K cool down because it was my long run day. Mm-hmm. But it helps your body get into like a better rhythm when you're actually racing because you're so warmed up. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. It was just like a very, like that's just one of the big differences that I noticed was it obviously takes a little while for the muscles to warm up. And it's just quite a bit different it was quite a bit of a different experience from the half that we ran in October where it was actually very hot.
Yeah. I'm going to pivot a bit on just some of the mental frustrations that can come up when you are in like a lower fitness phase. So for me, I've been in this place a lot where I've, had a really solid race season and raced really well, had strong results, took time off, and then am like building back. So I do trust that my body will always find that fitness again and then continue to progress. But I will say giving blood and then getting sick has sidelined me for now like 2.5 weeks where I've had difficulty with my training, and it is tough. It sucks because I want to feel that I'm making gains and getting stronger and getting faster, but I'm doing the right things. I'm meeting myself where I am. I'm not trying to let my ego run the show, but it's tough when you see on paper like, oh God, this is not looking the way I want it to look. And I do have big goals and races coming up this year. So I think mentally it can still be hard, even though it's like temporary and you'll get through it. Just acknowledging that it isn't easy to kind of go through that phase.
No, and it's ebbs and flows of the season for sure. This is quite early for us. Like you said, our big block is approaching now on the horizon. It's something that we're going to be scaling into now at this point. We both actually added an extra race to our calendar basically in like the last 2 weeks.
We're heading to Miami.
We're taking our talents to South Beach.
Yeah. We're actually both racing doubles. So I'm racing with a friend, Lindsay. We are doing the pro women's doubles in Miami. 2 Canadian girls looking to just see what we can give. Super excited to do a doubles race. Might try to snag a solo race as well because I want to just stack up some points for High Rocks. And yeah, so that'll be great. It's in 4 weeks, so time to lock in.
Yeah. We'll talk at some point when it becomes more clear about how this point system works. This is a new thing that the sport is kind of releasing. Basically, you get points based off of how you finish in specific races versus over times. So it's unclear the way that it's being graded at the moment. And I think maybe there will be some clarity over time, but we don't have to get into that specifically right now.
Yeah, it's for another day.
Yeah, that's probably an episode, just a standalone by itself, that we can talk about it. But I am also going to be competing in pro doubles with one of our friends and one of the coaches, our Jim Jules, who had an extra ticket, which was kind of serendipitous because I was also feeling that it would be nice to get another race on the calendar and just get another effort in the space. Not only is it valuable experience, but I think we've been pretty forthright that my last 2 races now haven't really gone according to plan, and I don't feel that I've been given the chance to demonstrate the fitness that I've actually built up through those blocks.
Yeah, I think it's tough when, like, we talk about how not every race will go the way you want, and it's normal to have, some disappointment there. But when it's back-to-back races, that feels extra bad because you're like, oh, God, I just wanted to win.
Yeah, and it felt like the one in Vancouver was probably the easy one there. That one just felt like it was going to be on a tee, and obviously there's not much you can do about injuries taking somebody out of a race. But yeah, it definitely feels bad, especially for races like High Rocks, which are few and far between. It's very competitive to get tickets, and it requires a lot of traveling. It's a race within itself
to try and get tickets.
That's right.
I had to fight for my life to get a ticket for Ottawa. I don't have a solo ticket for Miami either, so trying to figure that out. Lindsay came across a doubles ticket and messaged me, and so we decided like that day to get it and do it. So yeah, it's
also a little bit different than like a 5K or a 10K.
Yeah,
or
you
a
could
half,
just sign up.
Where there's just a whole bunch of races available in like our general
Even
area,
locally.
local races that you can do. Obviously, there's bigger races that you can travel for, but with this race specifically, it seems like we have the one local race in Toronto. We have now a second one that's not too far away. It's in Ottawa, so at least we can do that one by car.
But if anyone would like to introduce a second race in Toronto, we'd all love that. We're actually
talking to you, Jay Fitz.
We were talking about that last week. We were like, or I believe, if High Rocks said in 2 weeks from now, we're going to hold a 2-day event in Toronto, it would sell out 100%.
They could get 5,000 athletes, I think, in 2 weeks.
Easy. You know how hungry everyone is to race and participate in High Rocks? Like, everyone wants to do it now, which is awesome.
They could do a second one in New York. They could do a second one in Toronto. They could do a second one in a lot of these cities, to be honest.
I'm expecting big things in 2027. I think Canada's done a great job. Now we have 3 races at least. Like, that's been a huge scale from 0 to 1 to 3. So let's make it 6.
Do you think the Vancouver race is going to become a Christmas time tradition?
I might be celebrating Christmas in Vancouver for the next 5 years.
For the foreseeable future. It just feels like the Canadian races are just ones that A, we should support, but B, also...
Totally.
It just seems a little bit more accessible, even if it's on the West Coast.
Well, it's tough when you have to travel either to, like, Europe or, like, the U.S. because our dollar is not as strong. So as a Canadian athlete, it's a little tricky. And, you know, we plan our year accordingly, but now we're starting to think 1 year out, like, and I'd actually give this advice to anyone interested in participating in a High Rocks event. Just, you have to plan and make sure you know when the ticket drops and know exactly what you're doing. It's like a concert now. If it matters to you, you'll prioritize it and make it work, but it's not easy. So definitely be on the lookout. And there are ways to, you know, suss out if there's going to be more tickets that come available the week or 2 weeks before. So if it's something you're really seriously considering, just keep an open mind for kind of the last minute ticket availability and start planning now. Like, there's a lot of races in the fall season that are across the US. I think like Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, Anaheim, like, you know, not saying those are all super accessible, but at least it's not Europe, Asia, or Australia.
And it feels like we'll be getting more races. Like, they continue to add races, both in the United States and in Canada. So hopefully they continue to scale that. I wouldn't be surprised to see more new cities on the docket as we enter this year.
Me neither.
All right, some takeaways here. Oxygen capacity matters a lot, perhaps more than
we think.
More than we thought in this particular circumstance. That our fitness can feel fragile at times, but you have to trust that if you're resilient and if you keep showing up, that it will build back.
I think another thing there is actually to not push through. So I didn't mention this before, but a previous version of myself would have still gone to the Chile half marathon race and raced it, but I really had to fight against that instinct and just sit my butt on the couch and stay home, because I knew that if I tried to run that race, my effort would have been through the roof and I would have spent all week recovering from that effort. Versus where I'm at now is, you know, it's Tuesday and I actually feel like I can do some pretty solid workouts later this week. I've definitely turned a corner, and it sucks taking like a step back and feeling sidelined, but it's so much better for your build to take those 2 days off rather than muscle through.
It's hard when you see all your friends, everybody's going to be posting about the race, and you're not able to participate even though you had a bib. This was also ties in nicely to a point that we're going to bring out, is that like prioritizing your health and making sure that you're ready and available to go is always going to be more important than trying to be a hero in training or show up to a race just for the resilience factor.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time when we think about being sidelined or taking time off, it's because of injury. And as someone who never gets sick, I didn't fully appreciate what it felt like to be sidelined from like a sickness. And so you do need to treat it the same way. Your body is, healing and recovering. Actually, it's good to be grateful that your body is intact physically, because it is hard, when you're with the flu or head cold or whatever.
It's so debilitating.
Yeah.
It actually makes you appreciate when you're healthy, which the two of us have generally been, it seems like,
Yes.
for the last year. And when you aren't healthy, it can feel like you're never going to be healthy again, or you can forget like the struggles. And I know that these are relatively small blips on the radar. We're talking about a head cold or a flu that might last a week or two.
Yeah, but treat it the same.
Things.
Treat your body with kindness, be gentle, patient with yourself. It's not worth it to muscle through anything. And yeah, just be mindful of the overall strain on your body. And as we've talked about before, taking even a week off is not going to be detrimental to your fitness at all.
And of course, make sure that you're timing your medical procedures and or blood donations
accordingly
for where it matters versus performance in your
Please
season.
donate blood in your off season.
Off season only.
And still do it. This is not a deterrent to not do it, because everyone should do it.
I know my whole family religiously give blood, so it's definitely,
which is awesome.
It's definitely a really great cause. So
I'll
we don't want to deter
after
athletes away. Yeah, it's just make sure that you're timing it appropriately, because you will suffer fitness losses, and you just have to be ready for that. But also understand that your body will bounce back.
Yes. It physiologically 100%. So I'm actually looking forward to when I do have all my red blood cells back and I'm going to feel like a superhuman.
If you connected with today's episode, share it with your training partner, your family, your friends, post it to your story. We'd love to hear where you're listening from, and follow us on Instagram at aerobicafpod for training tips behind the scenes and to join our community of other endurance-obsessed humans. And in the meantime, stay aerobic AF!